Howdy, Pearland. My name's Tom Slocum. I'm running for Railroad Commissioner here in Texas. Today, I had the pleasure of being endorsed by Miss Carolyn King Hodges. She's the former president of the Texas Federation of Republican Women. I am so excited to have her endorsement in this race. I'm here tonight in College Station. I can't be with you in Pearland, unfortunately. I'm here to have a forum with incumbent Wayne Christian. I feel like it's important to be here and let people know the differences between myself and Wayne, but I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity to make a video just for y'all. So here it is. I'm going to explain to you quickly why I should be the next Railroad Commissioner and why Miss Hodges also agrees that I should be the next Railroad Commissioner. So here's the deal. I have real industry experience, 17 years, ever since I was in college. I started out in a cement lab in Houston, and I started plugging wells offshore at Apache Corporation, where we handled over $1 billion in liability at Apache Corporation over 6 years. After that, I was asked to go drill and recomplete and work over wells on land in Texas. So in 2010, I started venturing into that space, and by 2014, it was all I was doing, and I was consulting, and I got to help run 2 oil companies, in fact. And you have to know the regulations frontwards and backwards if you want to be in the oil and gas industry, obviously. I know all those regulations. I know how to plug wells, but I'm also the biggest defender of this industry that you will ever find. And when I say that, I mean that because I'm calling for statewide bonding for all wind farms. These Chinese windmills that are put up, the windmill blades, all the materials, everything comes from overseas. It's subsidized by the government to the hilt. And then they want to try to subsidize it again at the county level, where the corruption starts with zero bonding or low bonding. We need statewide mandatory bonding at the state level. Oil and gas, if you want to be in oil and gas in Texas, you got to have statewide bonding at the state level. That means if your oil company goes bankrupt, the state has money there to go plug your wells. It's not done on a county by county basis, because the numbers would be all over the place and it wouldn't be right. It's the same thing with windmills. You can't do this on a county by county basis because the numbers are all over the place, and there's corruption coming from these big wind companies. They're trying to pay off people. It's not right, Texas. It's happening right in front of our eyes, and it's got to come to a stop. I got a standing ovation from several people today when I mentioned that in Houston at the Packard Room Club. It's not right that we have these Green New Deal guys coming in here to Texas. These lobbyists, they're from Boston. Let's be serious. They're not from Texas, and they're trying to do everything they can to squeeze out every penny of us Texans. We can't allow that to happen. We also can't allow people to permit landfills in the middle of a swamp like Toledo Bend, in the middle of our riverways like the Sabine River, in the middle of our rivers like the San Augustine River. It's not a good idea. There's a company out there called the High Roller Group. They've given $155,000 to Wayne Christian to do exactly that. And they are working on getting their next permit here in East Texas. And I've had the GOP chairman over there, R.D. Griffin, called me immediately when I got in the race and said, "Son, you got to come up here. We're going to meet you, vet you, and endorse you." And that's exactly what R.D. did. And I'm very proud to have R.D.'s endorsement in this race. I'm also very proud to have Paul Williams, CEO of an oil and gas company, real oil man here in town. He even played football for the Houston Oilers. He is quite the leader. He even ran for Congress, and I really wish he was a congressman because he's a great guy. But he came out and he endorsed me as well. I'm also getting the endorsement of the Amarillo Pioneer, from what I understand. It should be coming out on Thursday. I've got a lot of great endorsements. I'm only building more. I wish I could go over more of them with you, but I'm going to tell you a few more things that we need to do. We need to eliminate the flare gas tax in Texas. All right. I'm a huge proponent of eliminating taxes and saving us money. I'm also a huge proponent of not voting to tax people $3.4 billion in college securitization like Mr. Christian and the other railroad commissioners and people in Austin did. They wrote themselves a check for $3.4 billion. That is a tax. They call it securitization. It's a tax. I guess that's the Republican word for tax. I guess you can look that up. And the Republican word for tax, securitization, that's exactly what it is. It's going on your natural gas bill. You're paying for it because of Wayne Christian. It didn't have to be that way. Last year, we took in $15.8 billion worth of revenue. Okay? Oil and gas delivered that to Austin. Royalties, fees, fines, the whole 9 yards. $15.8 billion. Normally, it's only $11 billion. Last year was $15.8. They could have easily paid for that $3.4 billion bailout in that amount of money, but they didn't. They took advantage of a situation, like Rahm Emanuel says, famously, never let a crisis go to waste. That was Obama's guy. You know what? They did the same thing in Austin. They weren't going to let this crisis go to waste. They wrote themselves a check for $3.4 billion. So we got checks writing for $3.4 billion underneath this guy, Wayne Christian, and underneath our current people in Austin, which is not right. I want to be a fiscal hawk. I want to be on top of that. I also want to figure out how to get more water to West Texas because they need it very, very badly. They need it. So we've got a lot of problems we got to work on. We also got to figure out what we're going to do with these earthquakes. Maybe we don't need to be bringing in water from New Mexico and waste from Louisiana. Maybe we should start regulating that a little bit in Texas. You know, I don't think it's such a great idea. I think we're running out of room here in Texas, and we got to do our best with what we have. And so why should we let liberal states like Louisiana and New Mexico, these liberal states, dump their waste on us? Maybe they need to change their laws, and they need to have more oil field landfills and more injection wells over there. Maybe they can work on that themselves, and we don't have to take all of it over here in Texas. You know, I have to send radioactive waste off location all day long to R360 Milestone Environmental. I will never want to send it to someplace Texans don't want it, whether it's in the middle of the Toledo Bend or whether it's in Midland, where Christy Craddock voted no on the High Roller Club on their permit. And now the High Roller Club is being sued by Republicans and people in Midland. I do not want more Republicans like what happened down with Kinder Morgan Pipeline, I believe it was on the Blanco River. I don't want more Republicans lining up to sue oil and gas companies. We got to put that to an end. We got to stop this from happening to begin with. You got to vote for Tom Slocum. If you're a real fiscal conservative, vote for somebody who really loves Texas to the T. Really loves Texas and will work hard for you, the taxpayer, because the voters are at the top of the equation, and I'm applying for a job to work for them as a public servant. I will serve you, Pearland. Please don't forget Tom Slocum. Go to slocumfortexas.com. That's SLOCUM for Texas.com, and you too can find out more about me. There's my flyer, one side of it. There's the other, just for a brief preview of what I just had printed here. I'm going to have more information going out, more endorsements coming. Thank you very much, Pearland. You'll have a great evening.